It's me again. For this week's discussion, I had questions 8 and questions 9. Question 8 reads, discuss the skillful ways of responding to a patient's existential questions or expression of spiritual distress, thereby demonstrating what the authors seek to illustrate on page 92. So the book really goes on to give good ways to respond, what you should and shouldn't do if someone asks an existential question like why did God do this to me? But I just wanted to overlap. Basically, all of these suggestions are rooted in keeping an safe and open environment. So you want to make sure that your patients feel like they can talk to you, that they can trust you, that you're not going to go and tell everyone what they said or judge them for what they're being said. So specifically, the book says that the first skillful way is to recognize that your patient is in distress. So typically, being in distress is something people don't like to talk about, so they may not be overtly saying things. You may need to pick up on subtle cues from your patients, have good observation skills, or trust your gut if you think something else is going on. The second skillful way is to respond to distress. The book says to do this by acknowledging it, so just reassuring them that that it is common to feel this way after something like this, and that you understand that's how they feel. And when you're responding, it wants you to use open-ended questions. So using open-ended questions really allows for them to do most of the talking, for them to lead the conversation. And this keeps you from cutting off and missing things that could be really important. So if they started talking out about how they were in all this distress and you cut them off without giving them an open-ended question, you may have missed the end, which may have been the most important, stressful, distressing part. So always use open-ended questions if you can, and let your patient lead the conversation. The next skillful way is to really feel free to ask questions about symbols of spirituality. So the book talked about how in the hospital it's common for patients to wear jewelry with crosses on it or have a Bible on their nightstand. So if this is something you see with your patients, feel free to ask them about it, ask them what it means to them, ask them why they brought it here. This will kind of open the line of communication and help establish trust in your guys' relationship. And it'll show that the patient that you are spending time and observing what they're doing, not just in and out of their room like they think so many healthcare workers are today. And lastly, it says the last skillful way is to either conduct a formal spiritual assessment. So you could use a tool like the FICA that we learned about in the book, or if you don't feel comfortable doing this, you can refer to a chaplain. So bottom line for this question is you really need to have good listening skills, and you need to have good observation skills, and you need to use these two combinations of things to realize your patients are having spiritual distress and being open communicating with them about it. Question 9, my second question, was P&F note that many of the technological advances in medicine have come about by adoption of a scientific model of medicine that methodologically excludes consideration of the person as a biopsychosocial spiritual whole. What effects has this had on patient care in the past and in healthcare today? So when this scientific model first came about, it relied on technology, and it really helped make a lot of medical advances. There were cures found, which was good for the community, but it also had some devastating effects. So now, today, the book kind of talks about how people are focused on curing the patient, but there's a difference between curing and healing, and we, as healthcare providers, really should be doing both. The current medical model does not address all the needs of patients. It doesn't address the spiritual needs. It doesn't address the psychosocial needs, which today are more prevalent than ever. It doesn't address how the illness can affect more than just the person physically. It affects them emotionally. It can affect their family. It can affect their community. It affects them financially. really a more holistic model is needed, and that is what the book is pushing towards for the biopsychosocial spiritual whole, is that the scientific medical model did help make advances in medicine, but it's not enough. More advances are needed to be made. We're not just trying to cure people, we're trying to treat them as a whole person, and we want to provide holistic care as much as possible. Thanks for watching.